party's over. You say you want a revolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? You know it's going to be all right. You know it's going to be all right. The Beatles. By the time you read this, our July 4th celebrations for our nation's independence and our fight against being ruled by a king will be in the rearview mirror. Happy 249th, America. Based on the recent Supreme Court rulings, now is the time to ask whether or not we will still be a democracy on our 250th anniversary. Arguably, the most corrupt Supreme Court in modern times has given the executive branch of the government even more power. 1 year ago, on July 1st, 2024, the Supreme Court ruled that the president is immune from actions taken while president. In essence, a sitting president can do just about anything as long as it's declared an official act. This allowed the president to send armed masked men with no warrants and no identification to kidnap people off our streets and then send them off to an unknown prison. On June 27, 2025, the Supreme Court now has gone a step further by ruling that the lower courts are restricted in halting executive orders over birthright citizenship. From Heather Cox Richardson, and I quote, "In response to this ruling, the president said, after the Supreme Court today decided the case of Trump v. Casa, limiting the power of federal judges to issue nationwide injunctions, President Donald Trump claimed that the decision was a huge victory and that would permit him to end birthright citizenship. That is, the principle that anyone born in the United States, with very limited exceptions, is a U.S. citizen. To reporters, he claimed, if you look at the end of the Civil War, the 1800s, it was a very turbulent time. If you take the end day, it was 1869 or whatever. But you take that exact day, that's when the case was filed. And the case ended shortly thereafter. This had to do with the babies of slaves, very obviously, he said. This is a great example of a politician rooting a current policy in a made-up history. There is nothing in Trump's statement that is true, except perhaps that the 1800s were a turbulent time. Then again, every era is. So what's the goal? According to NBC News, it's not to deport violent criminals that are here illegally. And I quote, the new data obtained by NBC News shows that from October 1st to May 31st, ICE arrested 752 people convicted of a homicide and 1,693 people convicted of sexual assault, meaning that the absolute most, the Trump administration has detained only 6% of the undocumented immigrants known to ICE to have been convicted of homicide, and 11% of those known to ICE to have been convicted of sexual assault. It could be that the goal is to rid the nation of anyone and everyone who is not white. Again, Heather Cox Richardson tells us, and I quote, but there were indeed echoes of the past in the administration's position on immigration today. The administration's announcement that it is terminating temporary protected status for 500,000 Haitians, stripping them of their legal status, seems to echo the ancient law saying only, and I quote, free white persons can become citizens. 1 year from now, we should be celebrating the nation's 250th anniversary of self-rule and a government as described by President Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address, and I quote, a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. Is that what we're going to be a year from now? We currently have a president who is beyond any doubt the most corrupt president in our history. He's the only president who holds the title of convicted felon. He uses the presidency not for the benefit of the people, but to enrich himself. He's a bully who rules by extortion, threats, and litigation. He's working hard to destroy our scientific community, our educational system, our economy, and our standing with our allies. He uses tariffs to create chaos, and then backs off and wants you to believe he's some sort of a great deal maker, when all he did was burn down the barn, then join the fire department and take credit for putting out the fire. His lies and misrepresentations constantly show little interest in actually doing the job he holds. He allows sycophants like Stephen Miller to run the show while he, the president, is busy playing golf. Thus far, he has spent 25% of his time in office playing golf. During his first term, his golf habit cost taxpayers a staggering $151 million. He's on schedule to surpass that amount. And now we have the big, beautiful bill legislation that will set us back decades and harm many people, mostly in red states. But according to Senator Mitch McConnell, regarding to the cuts to Medicaid recipients in the state of Kentucky, quote, they'll get over it. Maybe, maybe not. Add to the Medicaid cuts the unprecedented increase to our debt in order to give tax breaks to the richest among us, the cost of living increasing, the possibility of yet another war in the Mideast, mass fascists sent out by a would-be king to terrify people. Maybe Americans will wake up and realize that they've been had by a con man. An angry, organized electorate might just prove to be more powerful than the billionaires looking to take over our nation. Time will tell. I've included in this column an author's note in which I say this month of July marks the 20th anniversary of writing for the Bennington Banner. There is some dispute between the former publisher, Ed Woods, and me over this date. He says it's 20 years this year. I say it's 20 years last year. Either way, I would like to thank the Bennington Banner for inviting me to join their columnist page. I would also like to thank all of you who have supported my work and, those who have not. I'll keep writing as long as you keep reading. And now another author's note that didn't make it in the hard copy. I have learned that May of this year, 2025, marks the 20th anniversary of me writing this bi-monthly column. I hope you enjoy it, and if not, if it aggravates you a whole lot, let me know. Give me a call, write a letter, and we can talk it over. Thanks very much for listening. This is The View from my place. My name is Bob Stannard.